You're listening to For the Republic, a love letter to Star Wars animation.
Jared, since you're the guest, how about you start us
You
off?
want to get it out of the way? You want to
Get it out of the way. So your introduction to Star Wars games is as follows.
I am told how I was introduced to Star Wars by my parents. I don't remember it. I was so young. But my introduction to Star Wars movies, it's the original trilogy. Revenge of the Sith wasn't out yet. I was young enough to see Revenge of the Sith and Attack of the Clones at the theater. However, my first real Star Wars memories are not of any of the movies, but are in fact of a Star Wars game that was exclusive to the original Xbox called Star Wars Obi-Wan. It came out. It came out in the early 2000s, so it's not quite a Phantom Menace tie-in game, despite it largely taking place over the course of Phantom Menace. It basically picks up like a couple months before Phantom Menace and then runs through the movie. Like at about the quarter of the way, 1/3 mark of the game, you are on the droid control ship. And it was deeply formative for me. It is, I think it's why, I know it's why I love the Phantom Menace so much. Because so much of that game's visual aesthetic and visual language was rooted in Revenge of the Sith. Obviously, it's like Padawan, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon for the most part. So there's that. Everybody knows I'm like a Jedi Council Glupshido scholar. And that's also because of this game. Because there was a 2-player versus mode. And throughout the game, there were bonus levels where you go back to the Jedi Temple and spar with council members. Now, if this game came out today, you'd have people who are fucking hemorrhaging because Padawan Obi-Wan's holding his own against Mace fucking Windu. But that's aside,
not in the canon.
Yeah, no, and we can get into the who would win in a fight.
Well, how do you think they felt when Connor had Shmi beat the hell out of Palpatine?
Oh yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
So
you can't even use the Force.
You don't even make any sense.
Shmi can't even fight a Sith Lord. That doesn't make any sense.
So
she could if she wanted to.
Yeah, no. So you had these like really fun like little bonus missions where you'd like train with a bunch of different Jedi Council members, and then once you beat them in the Jedi arena, you could then play as them in the multiplayer mode. So that was a lot of fun. And again, it was why I was like, oh, fucking Coyote Mundi. It's like I'm 6 and I fucking love Coyote Mundi and Plo Koon and shit. So yeah, no, it was really interesting. It's a big swing and a miss in many ways. It was very bold in its game design because most Star Wars games, across the pantheon of Star Wars gaming, there was basically one of two ways you use the lightsaber. You pulled the right trigger or you hit like X or square or whatever. Obi-Wan was interesting because you controlled your lightsaber with your right joystick.
Oh.
And like swung it. So the first things first, you've now run out of a way to control the camera. So spoiler alert, you're gonna fucking die because you can't see shit. You will be getting swarmed by enemies and you can't see almost anything behind you because you have to like use the movement stick to completely turn around. It's like Michael Keaton Batman can't move his neck. That's basically the situation you're in, but with a lightsaber. But it was very
3D vibes to me. It's for sure.
Well, it was a very clever idea. It was a very clever idea. I think today, if that game were made and somebody wanted to implement that control, like I think that games have gotten really good at just like auto cameras that I think you might be able to pull it off in some way. But yeah, so it had this like really interesting. I don't want to say intuitive because it wasn't. It worked poorly because again, you can't move the camera, but it was really interesting and it meant for really very very fascinating one of a kind combat. You know, we've not had a Star Wars game since that was as like, no, we want to give you control of your lightsaber. And even though like it didn't work in the end, I do think it was a very brave decision. And one that, you know, obviously it hasn't been replicated because of the obvious issue with it, but like it's one of a kind in that way. One of the other things that I love so dearly about this game is that the voice actor for Obi-Wan is horrendous.
Oh, no.
So, you know, yeah, you have your classic, you know, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you know, oh, hello there. You know, like everybody has this idea of what Ewan McGregor sounds like. This fucking guy, you know, with Obi-Wan, there's a little bit of England, a little bit of Scotland, a little bit of Ireland. This guy, I don't know where he was from, but it was not one of those three places. And it was made worse by the fact that there was a button input to make him talk. So like you could just walk up to like random civilians and just like press the Y button and be like, hello, hello. And then if you kept talking, he'd just go, I'm not sure. Like no shade to friend of the show, Eli of Epic Confrontations and Star Wars in the Galaxy. It kind of sounded like when Eli tries to do a British accent. But this guy just fucking sounds like that. Like, it was bizarre. The best would be harkening back to the first bit I ever started on this show. Anakin Skywalker's a little bit space racist. If you kept trying to talk to civilians, you would go through like, hello, I'm not sure. And it's just like that. You just keep hitting Y. He just keeps repeating it over again. And eventually he'll hit it's like so problematic. He goes, that's how he sounds. Do you understand my language? And when you go back and play it, and it's just some like 5'0" fucking punk Jedi Padawan walking up to some random fucking Wookiee on Coruscant, being like, "I speak basic." Like it's like you know, it's just like,
Wow.
you know, it's like
He just like got
yes, it is.
possessed by the space racist from the Old Republic.
Yeah, truly. You know, it's do you understand my language? It's so fucking funny. But yeah, no, and like a lot of early 2000s games, despite the character you were playing as or the franchise you were in, you could kill civilians. You know, and it was like it catches you off guard because again, you're using a lightsaber in confined spaces. And you know you can only control it with your joystick and there's no real way to aim, so sometimes there'd be some poor fucker behind you who'd catch that backswing and they'd let out they would just let out this horrific death curdle, you know, that you just like again on the backswing hit some civilian who's like this close to you and you just go well they just flop to the fucking ground. It was fantastic. The best level in the game, without a doubt, is because it runs up to the end of Phantom Menace. So you know you get to fight Darth Maul at the end. The best part about the Darth Maul fight, the Darth Maul fight is the best level in the game. Because it's like the best lightsaber duel. Like the Jedi Council training things are fun, but like Maul because you're in the reactor pit. You know, it's fucking great. No, it's funny because when the level boots up, you're like behind the laser gate and you're watching the Maul and Qui-Gon NPCs duke it out. And like you kind of just sit there for like a minute and watch the fight. Which like but the ambiance, the tone, it's perfect. Like I would not change that. But eventually Maul scores that killing blow. Qui-Gon, like every other human in the game, just does this hilarious fucking flop onto their back when they die. And when Obi-Wan, you could see Phantom Menace, no! For whatever reason, they slightly changed the line in the game.
Oh no.
So it's just Obi-Wan. So Obi-Wan yells, "Master, no." But it's this goofy fucking voice actor. So it's Master, no! But like he also sounds bored. It sounds like it's like okay. Come on. Can one of you stick the pointy end in some way? Okay. No. All right,
my
let's
God.
get it over with.
See,
Master, no. Don't give him your social security number.
Yeah. So the other thing that I love about the Darth Maul fight, I'm gonna keep talking about this game. Sorry, this is your fucking mistake. They
no one else is going to. So
they anime the shit out of the way you beat Darth Maul. So the boss fight itself is cool because Darth Maul gets 2 health bars. So you fight him. So he's got like his first like green health bar, and you fight him, trying to fight him, and then like you finish off that green health bar, and then it goes away, and that's whenever you fight him with 1 blade. So that first health bar, boom, you cut his lightsaber in half. Now, if you're good at the game, which it's hard to be because the game is not made well, if you time it right and you pay attention, what you can do is Darth Maul is like in this like stunned like state while his new health bar is coming, and you can use a power called Force Focus, which puts it in the slow-mo. So if you're Johnny on the spot with it and you put it in the slow-mo, you can just kind of fucking wail on Maul for a little bit while his other health bars coming up and like take like a quarter of it out before it fills back up. If you're quick and if you're smart, it's hard to be those things in this game. Only because I've played it for 20 years have I ever figured that out. But so you do that, you get to the second health bar, and then when you beat him, before that, talking about how anime it is. So, Master, no! Darth Maul walks up to the reactor shield, and he just starts doing a fucking anime villain monologue. That, if I had my druthers, would be in the goddamn movie. Because he just walks up to the thing, and he like hits his pose, and he was like, I'm somewhat disappointed in your master. I hope you'll be more of a challenge than him. And it's just like, God, this dialogue's terrible, but I fucking love it. It's like a McRib, you know, of a game. You know, like it's a novelty and it's fun in the moment. But my God, is there nothing here? It may actually be bad for you in the long run, but it's my favorite Star Wars thing of all time. So so he's like, somewhat disappointed in your master, and then you fight him, and then when you score that final blow on him, he drops his lightsaber, and he's like, and they do a vertigo zoom. Now I don't know if anybody here knows what I'm talking about. So the vertigo zoom is this very very famous shot. It's done obviously in the movie Vertigo, but it's very famously done in Jaws, where you're you're using the zoom function on the camera at the same time that you're pulling it away on a dolly. So you get this interesting thing where like the camera is physically moving backwards but zooming in at the same time. So Darth Maul gets hit with the blade. He goes, ugh, and they vertigo zoom on Maul. And he's like, ugh. I think he says you win or some bullshit like that. And he's just standing in front of the reactor pit holding his gut. And then Obi-Wan hits him with a force push, at which point he anime style, like as he goes backwards, comes apart. Like he just bop, like that's when he peels apart. And then he just and then his limp body falls down the reactor pit. It's incredible. The end of the game is one of the funniest Easter eggs in all of Star Wars. Andrew, if you want to try to pull it up for the screen share, because I can't explain it. If you go to like Star Wars Obi-Wan Xbox credits, I think there's like the end of somebody's playthrough. You can just skip through the Darth Maul fight and go to the end of the credits. Because I can explain this all day long, it will not be as funny. But I need to tee it up. If you get to the end of the credits, and you can only do this when you play through the game. Like if you beat the game and then you go back to play the Darth Maul fight, you don't get the end cutscene, nor do you get the credits. So you get to the end of the credits, the screen goes black, and you get the hilarious Obi-Wan voice actor, and he's doing a Star Wars-ified version of the train spotting monologue. That is, yeah.
A whole ass monologue from that guy.
The whole train
way.
spotting, the whole, but like it's like choose the Force, choose the lightsaber. Like and again, and I want you to pull it up so people can hear the voice because
Brilliant.
I'm bringing
I'll-
that voice to life, and like nobody ever believes me with how goofy this fucking voice is. But yeah, it's just
hold on.
That is
oh,
Here we go.
is excellence.
Choose a job. Choose the dark side. Choose the council. Choose a flubbing big lightsaber. Choose protocol droids, holo projectors, and R2 units. Choose Watto, Tatooine, and Alderaan. Choose fixed interest credit payments to Sebulba. Choose a Corellian freighter that did the Kessel run in less than 12 parsecs.
This sounds like
Choose sitting in Jabba's throne room, watching mind-numbing dancers.
All right, I'll stop it there.
Oh,
dude,
you
it sounds
coward.
like
What did I just
Obi-Wan
hear?
trying to like oh my god, okay. How do I describe it? It sounds like Obi-Wan like as a surfer bro almost.
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
you see what I mean? You see what I mean?
It's
It
like a
sounds like
valley
Eli's
dude.
British accent.
Just
Like no shade.
the
I love the
Force.
kid.
That voice is awful.
It's like
Choose the
it's
Force.
surfer
Choose the
bro
Choose the Force. Choose
cracked
payments
out
to
of his
Sebulba.
mind. It's train spotting Obi-Wan.
I'm picturing
worst
Padawan
voice.
Obi-Wan with like frosted tips,
Dreads.
I was gonna
like
say,
10
like, it's-
sunglasses.
Like, yo,
Fucking
you,
dreads.
God.
I mean, you mean like the
doing the
concept art?
Bo-Katan pose on
Yeah.
Jabba's throne, like choose the Force.
Just the Force.
God
Yassified
damn.
Obi-Wan.
That's awful. Again, I was like
I'm
I've heard
Obi-Wan,
nothing
but
but
yassified.
awful things about this game except for you. And I was like, I gotta play that because you make it sound interesting. And then I listened to that and I'm like, maybe I don't want to play
The game, like I said, the gameplay is fun. It's hard. It's a very hard game to be good at. I thought it was because I was a child. It's because it's poorly designed.
poorly designed.
But like there's no other Star Wars game like it. There's no other Star Wars game like it. There's no other Star Wars game that like the one-on-one combat, like in situations where you're not dealing with like blaster users or like so like the first like act of the game, which is basically like the pre-Phantom Menace stuff. It's like Jedi doing crime shit. Which I love. I love Jedi gumshoe bullshit. So like the first level is Obi-Wan's at this like train station and all hell breaks loose and it's this criminal syndicate known as the Black Heth, which like if that name ever gets used in canon, I'm gonna bug the fuck out. Because to my knowledge, the Black Heth is only a gang that is featured in Obi-Wan. So it's like the Black Heth are raising hell in this train station. So you got to like basically liberate this like huge, it's called Icor Station or whatever. So to liberate the station, and then the boss battle is this Trandoshan with a fucking lightsaber-proof club, and you piece up the Trandoshan, and then you save the station. And then it's like, oh, well, like the black, like we have like an informant who's like being held hostage at this like construction facility is the next level. So you got to like fight your way through. And it's not really a stealth mission because there is no stealth in this game. My God, if there was. So you go through the level. So like every level of the building that you're fighting through has these like terminals that like they'll sound the alarm and like, and if they sound the alarm, you lose because they shoot the informant. And it's just this is fun cast of characters that make up the NPCs. Where all of there's this one Regi's guy who like has a wooden club and he will charge you and he'll be like, "I'll smash your skull." He'll say it loud as shit like that. And it's so funny. And again, this is where like the ludonarrative dissonance of a Star Wars game comes into play. Because he'll attack you with his wooden club, and then you block it, and then you go to hit him, and he'll try to block you, and you slice the club in half. He doesn't stop though, so you. And he, like most of the other like organic beings you fight in the game, let out this horrifying death knell, where you cut him down. He's just like, and he's like gripping his chest before he flops to the ground. Like, I think this is the beginning of me, like in my mind when I play a Star Wars game, going, that could have been a non-lethal wound. He's incapacitated. We see people survive with lightsaber wounds all the time. Just a little and they fall down because they're
He's
they're in shock.
fine. It's fine.
He's
Everything
fine.
is fine.
There's no dismemberment, thank God, because that would have broken my fucking brain as a kid. Because I like that I oh my, when I was a kid, it was just so funny to be like, hey, hello civilian. Just because you could. Who's gonna stop me? I'm the Jedi.
I'm
So
the Jedi, and I have the lightsaber.
Yeah, choose the
Oh
Force.
no, your head has been separated from your shoulders.
Yeah, what
It's
a shame
okay.
this game.
Choose the Force.
What a shame that this game came out, I believe, before the term death stick was a thing, because that totally would have been a part of the train spotting monologue at the end. So it's like, okay,
choose death sticks.
Choose death sticks. So you're fighting through like the Black Hath, and then like around the third level, it's like, oh, the Black Hath are getting in this weird weapons shipment at this Coruscant shipyard. So you got to go and stop it from happening. Then the second enemy faction of the game enters the picture, and it is the Jin Ha. Again, I have never heard of the Jin Ha in any other Star Wars but this. This is prime shit Disney. So then the Jin Ha enter the picture, and they're this like weird shadowy weapons smugglers, like this like weapons ring, but like all their shit's made out of cortosis. This was the first time I ever heard of cortosis as a Star Wars concept, because then you fight this army of like weapons, of like gun runners, basically, who are like trafficking in like cortosis axes and swords and warhammers and armor and like,
goddamn, dude.
So you fight them here, and then like the next level is you have to infiltrate this Jin Ha base because the Jedi Council sent Eathcoth and Plo Koon to infiltrate it, and then they got captured. And then you and Qui-Gon have to go rescue them, and then Qui-Gon's like, wait here, I'll go into the base. And then Qui-Gon's like, hey, they got me. Can you come get me? And so then you have to go in and liberate Qui-Gon, Eathcoth, and Plo Koon. And it's so much dumb fucking fun. And then after that, it turns into the Phantom Menace for the rest of it. There's two Tatooine levels where Padme gets kidnapped by the Tuskens. So
what?
You just indiscriminately murder a fuck ton of Tusken Raiders. The coolest Easter egg on the Tatooine level is that there's a cave painting that when you look at it, you realize it's the LucasArts guy.
Ooh. Oh, neat. That's
kind of like holding up the sun thing, which is clever.
I miss that little guy, because they used to do things where like he would get involved in the action, like in the back.
Like the Force Unleashed, like throw the lightsaber.
Yeah,
Force
in just about every game I'm going to be talking about. So yeah. I just looked up how much this game goes for on eBay just for shits and giggles. I'm seeing anywhere from $90 to $120. So maybe Obi-Wan is in demand.
Because it's not backwards compatible. All the games that are backwards compatible have gotten a digital port. So because it isn't, like old school Battlefront 2, like I don't think it goes for a whole lot of money physically, unless, maybe it might just because people are like collectors and shit. But like you can on my Xbox One, which is basically my little sister's at this point, because she has it back where like, my family's house, that like, the digital version of it with all the DLC is on the Xbox, is in the Xbox store. You can just play old school Battlefront 2. Like that's readily available. Something like Obi-Wan, like if people don't maintain those physical copies, it will become lost media, because like it just was of an age where you didn't have like all of the, like all of these retro games from the 2000s have had some amount of resurgence. Obi-Wan really hasn't. It's at the top of my list of like, if we're doing remakes and remasters, throw this horrible game a bone, please.
Episode 1 Racer got a Switch release a couple of years ago, so show some love to Obi-Wan, Lucasfilm or LucasArts or whoever's in charge there now. do it.
If there's any like Twitch streamers out there who want to do like who are thinking of doing a stream of a game and you happen to have Obi-Wan, maybe give that a go. I'd love to see like
listen, once I have this turned into a studio and I start streaming, one of the first things I'm doing is playing Obi-Wan.
So what we did
the people need to know.
The people need it. We just gave them 20 minutes, probably the longest conversation they've ever heard about this game.
Yeah, I apologize.
We need to deliver. It's okay.
Choose the Force. Choose a job. Choose the dark side. Choose the Council. Choose a flubbing big lightsaber. Choose protocol droids, holoprojectors, and R2 units. Choose Watto, Tatooine, and Alderaan. Choose fixed interest credit payments to Sebulba. Choose a Corellian freighter that did the Kessel run in less than 12 parsecs. Choose a Wookiee. Choose sitting in Jabba's throne room, watching mind-numbing dancers, stuffing green tubers into your mouth. Choose rotting away at the end of it all, disappearing into thin air, nothing more than an embarrassment to the whiny kid you trained on the way to Alderaan. Choose your destiny. Choose the Force. But why would I want to do a thing like that? I chose not to choose the dark side. I chose something else. And the reasons? There are no reasons. Who needs reasons when you've got a lightsaber?